and welcome to the last and final part of this masterclass series. In today's session, we're going to talk about analytics, and specifically, we're going to talk about how analytics can help you get a holistic view of your IT service desk. Thank you all for joining in, and I hope I make this session very interesting for you. So a quick introduction about myself. My name is Rakesh, and I'm a product manager at Manage Engine. I've been here for over 8 years now, and I'm in charge of product design and integrating our analytics offering to Manage Engine and non-Manage Engine IT software. And during my career, I've had an amazing opportunity to interact with a lot of customers and help them out in implementing various IT software, including Service Desk Plus. But nowadays, I spend most of my time in our analytics offering. Now, one thing I would like to mention before we start is that you can use the questions box on the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar panel to post your questions. I'll be happy to answer those in our Q&A session towards the end of this webinar. Excuse me. I hope you've enjoyed the previous session and learned a lot about how to use the various Service Desk Plus modules to run your help desk operations efficiently. Now, you probably realized how vast Service Desk Plus is and how it can help you incorporate your intricate workflows and help run your help desk operations efficiently. Help desk operations can get very complex sometimes, and it's easy for you to get lost in the vast amount of information and processes in your help desk. So in today's session, I'm going to talk about how to make sense of all the information in your help desk and establish better control of your help desk operations using advanced analytics. And these are the different topics we're going to discuss, and our webinar is going to revolve around these points. To start out with, we're going to look at how role-based dashboards help the different audience in your organization get a holistic view or a 360 view of the help desk. And the audience in your organization may vary quite a bit, starting from your CIOs, help desk technicians, help desk managers, and so on. So we're going to see how role-based dashboards answer questions that they would be interested in. And we're also going to talk about how analytics can help you analyze technician behavior. Now, this is something that you haven't been able to do so far, but advanced analytics gives you a way of analyzing how technicians handle requests, how long technicians work on requests, how many times they reassign requests to someone else in the help desk, and so on. And what this can do is it can help you spot actions that could possibly hinder the efficiency at which your help desk is operating in. And finally, we're going to look at how analytics can help in the decision-making process, because that is pretty much the prime reason or the sole reason that we all look at reports, right? We look at information in the reports and act upon things that you see in the data that the report is giving you. So we're going to also look at how those reports in analytics can help you in your decision-making process. Now, all the reports that we'll be discussing today were built using advanced analytics powered by Manage Engine Analytics Plus. And for those of you who are not aware of what advanced analytics is, let me give you a quick introduction of how you can set it up and start using it for your Service Desk Plus operations. So if you're in front of your Service Desk Plus application, you can go to the admin panel of your Service Desk Plus and click Advanced Analytics, or you can just go to the admin panel and search for Advanced Analytics, and you will see the option that I am talking about. Now, you can set up the Advanced Analytics on premises by downloading the Manage Engine Analytics Plus application, which is a business intelligence and analytics software from Manage Engine. And Analytics Plus offers a way for you to run complex custom reports without having to rely on SQL queries. Now, these are some of the features that the application brings. You get a drag and drop report builder, which allows users with little or no technical expertise to run complex analytics on their own. And we recently also released a new AI assistant that helps you generate reports based on text input. And this is groundbreaking, if you ask me. And this is a whole new way using which you can generate reports for Service Desk Plus. Now, let me show you a quick preview of how it works. Now, there are different ways using which you generate reports. You use your inbuilt reporting module. You can generate reports that are available to you out of the box, or you create query reports, which give you custom metrics, or you could also use the advanced analytics solution. And with this new AI assistant that we call Zia, all you need to do is just post your questions or ask your questions in plain English, and the AI assistant can understand your input and offer reports right in front of you in just a few seconds. So let me quickly demonstrate that. Let's say I want to know what are the number of SLA violations in my help desk. Now, all you need to do is just type in a question, say, show me the SLA violations, and hit enter, and you get the number of SLA violated requests right on your console. And let's say you're only interested in SLA violated requests for, that happened this year. You just add that parameter, say SLA violations this year, and hit enter. And again, the metric automatically refreshes with the data of SLA violations that happened this year. Now, let's say you want to go a little deeper and understand who are the different technicians who are responsible for these SLA violations. You just add that parameter here. So I'm going to ask, show me the SLA violations this year by technicians. And it's going to give you a very neat bar chart, which shows the different technicians that were responsible for these SLA violations. You can go a little deeper. Let's say if you also want to look at the different categories in which these requests fall under, you can click on, you can just ask or add that to your question. Let's say SLA violations this year by technician and category of requests. This looks a little shabby at the moment. Let's say we switch this to a stacked bar. So we just ask as a stacked bar, and you'll get the report in a stacked bar. So you can see the different technicians that violated the SLA, and also the different categories under which these different requests fall under. So this is a very easy way to generate reports for Service Desk Plus, and you don't have to spend those countless hours trying to build those reports. All you need to do is just ask the question, and the application can respond with the information that you are looking for. So that is one new feature that we added, and we feel like that is going to definitely revolutionize the way help desk managers generate reports. And also, in addition to that, we have a powerful formula engine that lets you create a lot of custom metrics on the fly. So we'll look at a few examples in our through the course of this webinar, where I'll show you the different calculated metrics that can be generated using analytics. So this is these are metrics that go in addition to what you get from Service Desk Plus, and that really helps you in zeroing in on things that need to be fixed in your help desk application. Right. So you can create all these reports, and obviously you can share and collaborate these reports with your colleagues using inline commenting. So let's say you generate a report, and the report shows that a specific technician is responsible for a lot of SLA violations. So you can just pull up the comment window and ask the technician you can tag the technician on the question and say, hey, why are you having so many SLA violations? What kind of trouble are you facing? And the technician gets a notification and can respond to your question right on the report. So that makes your interactions more real time and lets you get to the bottom of things when you look at the reports and dashboards, and especially when you see something that you are not really happy with. So in addition to that, advanced analytics also lets you blend help desk data with data from other data sources. So let's say you have a network monitoring application which generates a lot of alarms and notifications, and let's say you want to combine information from your network monitoring software with your help desk application. You can blend data from both these applications using advanced analytics. So if you're interested in setting up the advanced analytics on-premise, you can choose the Analytics Plus option that you see here. Or if you're interested in setting up the advanced analytics on cloud, you can use the Zoho Analytics option to set up the integration. So you have both options here, and you just choose the one that you want to set up and key in the details and click on Save and Sync for the data between Service Desk Plus to get synchronized to Analytics Plus. And the entire operation takes roughly about 5 minutes to complete, and you should see a set of over 400 out-of-the-box reports and dashboards. So this is what your dashboard is going to, your advanced analytics application is going to look like. And you have different reports here sorted by the different modules. Now, this is one common question that I usually get is how do you get a holistic view of your help desk when reports are spread across different modules? And that is exactly where the dashboards come in. While individual reports help you answer specific questions, for example, if you want to get an idea of how you're doing in terms of request resolution or request response times or any other metric that has to do with requests, you can find those reports from under this particular dashboard here. This particular folder here. And similarly, you have asset reports grouped under the asset reports folder, and similarly for projects, service reports, change management reports, etc. But dashboards sort of club all the information together and gives users a complete overview of the help desk operations. Now, when it comes to getting an overview or getting a holistic view of your help desk, not everyone is looking for the same thing. And this is a crucial aspect that we need to be aware of. So for example, a CIO is going to be interested in answers to questions such as, on what are we spending our IT budget on? Or he would want to know what are the different areas where costs can be cut, if at all the need arises to cut costs. And also he's going to be interested in how satisfied end users are. So he's going to be interested in the end user satisfaction levels. So those are some of the things that a CIO or a CTO would be interested in. Whereas, let's say a help desk manager is going to be interested in things such as what are the different hours of the day when the request volume is high, and what is the resolution time, what is the average response time, how many times does a request get moved from one technician to the other, what is the average period of time an asset is in possession of a particular user, and so on. So as you can see, the word holistic may mean different things to different people in your organization. So to start with, let's see how Analytics Plus or Advanced Analytics offers a holistic view to a CIO using the CIO dashboard. So I have a CIO dashboard built right here, and it should load with all the information in just a few seconds. So like I mentioned earlier, a CIO is going to be interested in the high level stuff, and particularly metrics that have to do with the cost aspect of IT. So things like the average cost per request gives CIOs an idea of how much is spent on resolving each request on average. So this cost could include cost of the technician, or it could also include the cost incurred in purchasing resources or fixing existing resources. Now, another aspect that a CIO would probably be interested in is major outages, because major outages have a huge financial aspect, because outages bring your productivity down. And when the productivity is down, it affects your company or your business financially. And also, IT budget is another huge thing on the agenda. Now, every company has a set IT budget that is fixed towards the beginning of the year. And it's very important that IT operates within the budget. And the IT spend widget here gives CIOs or CTOs an idea of where they are in terms of spending and how close they are in terms of reaching the limit for that particular year. Also, IT is usually in charge of acquiring all IT-related equipment and is also responsible for commissioning them. So acquiring assets too fast could add additional burden to the IT team because it takes time and effort to commission equipment properly. And that is exactly what this widget here is telling you. The asset consumption page tells you how fast you're procuring assets. And all these widgets compare the current standing with the previous year or the previous quarter, giving a way for CIOs to compare the data with the data from the past. And also, this is another neat thing that the application lets you do. Let's say you're the CIO and you're looking at the metrics for this year, and suddenly, let's say you're interested to see how you did the previous year. Now, you don't need to create a duplicate of this dashboard just to see data from the previous year. All you need to do is choose the period filter here. I have a set of pre-filled time periods like this month, this quarter, previous quarter. And let's say I want to see the data for previous year. I just click on the previous year option here, and the entire dashboard refreshes with data from the previous year. And similarly, let's say I'm only interested in looking at data for a specific set of sites. I can do that by just filtering the information or filtering it from the drop down that I see here. All right, so the IT budget spend chart here displays the areas where IT budget is being spent. So this can show whether funds are being used to acquire the type of assets that are the most critical to the organization. And also, besides the IT spend chart, you can also, or the year-on-year comparison of IT spend tells you how your IT spend compares to the previous years. So for example, here you can see that I've been spending a little more than what I spent in Q2 of 2018, whereas my spend has gone down a little bit in Q3 2019 compared to what it was in Q3 2018. So that gives you a way to visually compare these metrics to see how we are doing compared to the past. Now, everyone likes to save money, be it in their personal life or when it comes to IT. One of the areas where companies tend to overspend is when it comes to software licenses. Now, we might end up buying software licenses anticipating demand, but more often than not, the software licenses get overpurchased and end up being unused. So learning from these experiences and keeping an eye on software that gets overpurchased can help save a lot of money. So the potential for savings report is a great way to see if you have overpurchased software licenses and the amount of money that has been spent in purchasing these softwares which are unused at the moment. And I talked about major outages earlier. It is essential to keep the number of major outages to a minimum due to the financial aspect that is associated with outages. And a good place to start is to keep the numbers lower than they were in the past. So again, the report here gives you a very easy way to compare the number of major outages in each quarter of your current year with that of the previous year, that is 2018. And also, as a CIO, if there are areas where my end users or my customers are not very happy, I would probably want to know what are those areas, so that I can have my help desk team work on the quality of service in those areas. And that is exactly what this particular report, that is the areas with highest customer satisfaction, gives you. Now, if you look at all these reports, all these reports give you the actual metrics. That is the actual number of major outages, the actual amount of money that was spent, and the actual number of requests where the customers were not very happy. But there are some metrics that are better represented when they're represented as percentages. Now, a good example of that is SLA compliance. Analytics Plus lets you calculate custom metrics besides what Service Desk Plus gives you. So from Service Desk Plus, you can get the total number of requests that violated the SLA. You can get the total number of requests that were resolved within the specified SLA. But Analytics Plus gives you a way to calculate percentages out of those numbers that you get from Service Desk Plus. So the SLA compliance report represents the percentage value of requests that violated the SLA, which is represented by the red section of the bar, and also the requests that were resolved within the specified SLA guidelines, displayed with the green color or the green section of the bar. So this is beneficial to most organizations, and especially managed service providers or MSPs who have a stringent or who have to stringently adhere to the agreed SLA terms. So that is an example of how the CIO dashboard gives a holistic view to CIOs by showing them how the IT budget is being spent, what are the different areas for potential cost saving and customer satisfaction and the SLA compliance levels. In a similar fashion, the Service Desk Manager dashboard gives a 360-degree view of the help desk by displaying metrics that a Service Desk Manager would be interested in. So a Service Desk Manager is going to be interested in the day-to-day things that goes on in the help desk, such as the number of incoming requests, the average time spent by technicians on the requests, the average response time, and the resolution time, which are captured by the widgets at the top. Now, the one metric that I would urge all help desk managers to track is the burn rate. Now, the burn rate is a metric that tells you the percentage of requests that were resolved in comparison to the total number of requests that came into the help desk on any particular month. Now, that means if the burn rate for a certain month was, say, 50%, it means that your help desk was able to resolve only half the number of requests that were created or opened that month. And a burn rate of anything above 80% is an indicator that your help desk is performing efficiently. So if you look at the month of June 2019, the total number of requests that came into the help desk was about 90, whereas the number of requests that were resolved is about 29%, giving you a burn rate of about 32%. So the burn rate is really simple and easy to interpret, and hence can in many ways serve as a single metric that can tell you if your help desk is performing efficiently at the fundamental level, that is resolving requests quickly. And one of the most difficult things to get absolutely spot on is staffing. Now, you need to have a thorough understanding of the time of the day when request volume is high and the time of the day when things are generally slow. Now, this allows help desk managers decide when they need the majority of their workforce on call to attend to requests from users. And the ticket inflow by hour of day report does just that. It tells help desk managers the hours of high request inflow and helps them staff technicians accordingly. So it helps them by showing or highlighting the areas or the time of the day when the request volume is high. So for example, you can see that in my case, the request volume is really high between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. in the morning. And again, it seems to be a little high between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. in the night. And anywhere between 8 a.m. and let's say 3 p.m. or even 4 p.m. Seems a little slow. So as a help desk manager, I can make sure that I have the majority of my staff on call during these hours of the day so that they can help in bringing these requests to a closure as soon as possible. Now, the request resolution age tier and the aging report here on the service desk manager dashboard collectively classify requests into different buckets based on the amount of time it takes to resolve or close requests on average. Now, the aging reports are some of the most sought after reports due to their relevance, and a help desk manager can investigate further on these metrics using the drill down function. Now, for example, let's say if you wish to find out, let's say you see this report here and you can see a lot of requests that took over 60 days to be resolved in Q4. Now, let's say you want to know who were the different technicians who handled those requests. Now, all you need to do is click on the section of the report that you are interested in, and you get this option called drill down by. Now, when you click on drill down by, you get a little pop-up here, which lists the different fields from your requests, and you can drill down by technician. So when I click on technician, it's going to split this 295 requests into different bars depending on the technician who handled those requests. So right on the dashboard, you can investigate further and find out answers to your questions. And let's say you want to see or export a list of requests that, for example, Brad handled. Again, you can click on the section of the report that you're interested in. You can click on view underlying data, and you can see a sheet view of all the requests that Brad handled and which violate or the ones which took 60 days to resolve. And you can simply export this into a file format of your choice. So all these reports that you see on the dashboard are highly interactive, and it saves a lot of time for a service desk manager because it helps them answer questions right there on the report without having them generate separate reports to answer specific questions that might come up when they are looking at reports on advanced analytics. Now, one of the most recent additions to the Service Desk Manager dashboard is the unified audit history. So if you're someone who also plays the role of an asset manager and have to submit the audit reports, or someone who likes to just keep an eye on recent changes to hardware and software, the Unified Audit History Report is a one-stop shop because it combines the software changes, hardware changes, manual changes, changes with respect to the asset state. Let's say an asset moves from an in-store status to in-use, or let's say it gets reassigned from one user to another user. You'll find all of those in this single report here. So for example, you can see this particular asset has a bunch of hardware updates on the 5th of July. Looks like it was converted to a server and then back to a workstation. And then here you have a bunch of manual changes. You can see a lot of software deletions, Google Chrome, Kaspersky, etc., and a few other softwares look like they were deleted. And also you have a bunch of software installations. Now, because it combines all of them in a single dashboard, you don't have to rely or create separate reports to track each of these audit changes. And it just helps you track all of it in a single place. And again, asset scan status, again, if you're an asset manager or someone who's responsible to make sure that assets are scanned properly and are accounted for. Now, the asset scan status report gives you a graphical representation of assets that haven't been scanned in a long time. Again, you can use the drill down function on any section of this report, and let's say you can drill down by the different sites under which these assets fall under, or which or different departments which are in ownership of those assets. Now, something that has a financial aspect to it in this dashboard is the assets in store for too long. Now, I sometimes feel like it deserves its place in the CIO dashboard. So when assets are purchased and not used for a really long time, it's a lot of money wasted, right? So the help desk and the asset managers should aim to keep this period low in order to use the assets more efficiently. So those are a couple of examples of how role-based dashboards can give a holistic view of the help desk operations to CIOs and help desk managers, respectively. But if you think about it, the word holistic doesn't only mean giving users an overview of what's going on, but also shedding light on things that generally go unnoticed, and especially the ones that may impact or hinder operational efficiency. So specific to request management, a journey of request from start to finish can give a lot of insight on how technicians handle requests and bring it to a closure. It's not uncommon for help desk requests to get transferred from one technician to the other. It could happen when technicians from different teams have to work on requests at different stages of their life cycle. One of the most common problems I often hear from help desk managers is that they never really know how many technicians work on a particular request and for how long. In other words, the time spent by technicians on a request. Now, it is important to know or have this information for two reasons. One is to ensure accountability, so that you know if something goes wrong, you know who was in charge of that particular request at that particular point in time. And also, it helps you identify technicians who end up causing the resolution to get delayed. So when multiple technicians work on a request, it is really hard to know who did what and at what point in time. So when a request or part of the request was not handled properly, it could end up in a finger pointing contest once you start investigating into the reasons why the request got delayed. Now, traditional reporting doesn't show you a history of what happens in a request during its life cycle, because it is based on the final resting status of the request. Now, advanced analytics fills this gap by displaying dashboards on the technician transition history. So let me quickly show you what that dashboard looks like. So this dashboard includes some much needed metrics that were not available to Service Desk Plus users earlier. Now, widgets on the top should give you an idea of what I'm referring to. So here you can see the number of average technician changes per request. So this tells you the number of times a request gets moved from one technician to the other. And it also tells you the average time in an unassigned state. So time spent in an unassigned state is a lot of time wasted because no one is really working on the request at that point in time. And all this time just adds to the overall resolution time of the request. And you have the average time spent by each technician that tells you on average how much time each of your technicians spend on requests. And also it tells you the most frequent technician change. So if there are a lot of technician transfers or a lot of transfers between your technicians, you can find out what is the most frequent change that occurs in your help desk. Now, time spent reports, like all of you already know, are some of the most frequently requested reports of all time. And these time spent reports are not generated based on work log entries. Rather, it is generated based on the amount of time each of these requests stood assigned to technicians. So the Q on Q time spent by technician gives you a comparative figure of the average time spent by different technicians on requests. And on the right, you have the overall average time each of your technicians spend on a request on average. So this brings in a lot of accountability. So because you know how much time your technicians are spending on each of their requests. And if you feel that the amount of time that a particular technician is taking is too high, you can use this information here to investigate further and also probably help out the technician in terms of bringing that number down. And the reassignment behavior, again, can tell you a lot about how requests are handled in the help desk. In our example, you can see that there is a high number of requests moving from the unassigned state to Heather, and also a similar number of requests moving from Jennifer to Heather. Now, this could point to one of two things. It could be that the requests that need to be automatically routed to Heather are not being routed to her, and someone is having to manually reassign it to Heather each time, or it's getting routed to them incorrectly and they're having to reassign it back to Heather. Or it could also point to the fact that technicians are offloading their work to Heather for whatever reason. So understanding these reasons or understanding the reason behind such trends could help in sorting inefficiencies in your help desk. And also, too many request reassignments could be a cause of concern. It could mean that requests are being passed on from one technician to the other without no single person taking ownership. So in my case, I can notice that the number of request reassignments seem to be creeping up, which definitely needs some investigation. And high resolution time, again, in your help desk could point to the fact that the request remains unassigned for a prolonged time. And all this time, like I said earlier, in the unassigned, all this time spent in the unassignment status can be considered as time wasted. Now, speaking of time wasted, this report here shows you the technician changes of the top 10 oldest requests in your help desk. Now, most of us have a bunch of requests sitting in our help desk, which have just been there for a really long time, and it just seems like there's just no end to it. Now, this report here highlights the technician changes in those top 10 longest pending requests. So if you consider request ID 7, you can see that it was assigned to John, and John had the request for about 25 minutes. And then it got reassigned to Jennifer, who worked on it for about 35 minutes. And then she moved it to an unassigned status for whatever reason, and it's just been in the unassigned queue for about 60 minutes. So reports like these kind of, give you an idea of what's going on in your help desk and how technicians are handling requests in your help desk. And similar to technician transitions, you can also track status transitions. And tracking status transitions is also important because there are a few statuses that are less desired than the others. For example, you wouldn't want your request to be in an on-hold status for too long, would you? So the status history dashboard gives a complete view of the amount of time requests spend in each status and highlights the amount of time in undesired statuses such as on hold. So right off the bat, you can see that the average time spent in an on hold status is about 30 minutes. And this metric can also be represented in the form of a trend over time. So if you want to see how you were doing in terms of on hold time in the past, you can use this overall on hold time report that tells you the amount of time requests spent in an on hold status on average over the past few years or the past few months. So similarly, we have a status change. The most status changes or the most frequent status change report, and also the average number of status changes per request. And you also have a status change history of the top 10 oldest requests in your help desk. And these are reports that are available out of the box, and all you need to do is connect your Service Desk Plus application to the advanced analytics solution, and you will be able to see all these reports and dashboards in a matter of a few minutes. So we looked at examples of how analytics can give a holistic view of your help desk to different members of your organization, depending on the role they play in your organization. And also we looked at how it can help you look at things that are otherwise missed. Now let's talk about another important aspect that analytics helps you do, and that is decision making. Now it's important to get insights and act on them in order to improve efficiency and make a positive difference in your help desk operations. Now, as an example of that, one of the most difficult things to judge in your help desk is workload on your technicians. Now, understanding the workload is essential for two important reasons. One is to understand or to find out if the work is balanced, or in other words, your help desk is balanced, and also for capacity planning purposes. Now, your technicians could either be overworked or have very little to do. Both of them are not good for your help desk. A balanced help desk where the workload is evenly split across technicians can ensure satisfactory resolutions and happy customers. And also the request volume generally tends to increase over time, owing to increase in employee headcount because of growth. Now, help desk managers should be in a position to forecast demands and check if their help desk team is big enough to handle potential increase in employee headcount. Now, one of the common ways to check technician workload is to look at the total number of requests and tasks assigned to the different technicians. Now, a simple report like this one should give you a fair idea of the number of requests and tasks assigned. But merely looking at the total number of requests or the time they spend on them doesn't give an accurate picture, because the effort involved is not the same across all requests or tasks. For example, resolving 5 high priority requests requires a lot more effort compared to resolving 10 low priority incidents. And that is primarily because technicians have far less time to resolve critical incidents and have to put in more effort. So it is essential to factor in the amount of time technicians have in order to resolve requests, along with the total number of requests on their plate. So an easy way to factor in both these is by using a technician load factor. Now, a technician load factor is calculated by dividing the total number of requests assigned to a technician by the average amount of time available to resolve those requests. So again, to repeat, the calculation that goes into finding out the technician load factor is by dividing the total number of requests assigned to the technician by the average amount of time available to resolve those requests. And by just looking at this report, I can say that my help desk is not balanced, because I have 3 technicians here who have a really high load factor and 4 technicians over here who don't really seem to have a lot of work on their plate. So as a help desk manager, I can maybe reassign few of the requests that these technicians are working on to these 4 technicians, so that way I even out the load factor across the board. Now, another area where analytics can help make decisions is asset management, especially when it comes to decisions that help save money. Now, there are 2 different types of assets that are offered to employees: assets that are usually pre-purchased or pre-ordered and are available in stock, and assets that are purchased only when someone requests for it. Now, a good example of assets that are pre-ordered are workstations. A few other examples are desk phones and printer cartridges. It makes sense to have a set of workstations pre-ordered and in stock to cater to new employees and as replacements to existing employees. Now, when you don't plan and don't have enough workstations in stock, it adversely affects the business due to delays. Now, without a workstation, new employees will take longer to get inducted, and existing employees will experience loss in productivity. But pre-ordering assets is a tightrope that you have to walk with very little margin for error, because pre-order too much and you end up with way too many workstations or assets in stock for too long, which is obviously money wasted. Order too less and you end up in a situation where there aren't sufficient workstations to meet the demand. Now, the only way to avoid both situations is to track usage and anticipate demand. Now, a decisive way to do that is by using a monthly consumption or monthly asset consumption report. Now, this report, in addition to telling you the number of assets consumed monthly, also tells you the number of assets that are available in stock. So, for example, I can see in the case of desk phones, my average monthly consumption is at about 10, whereas the number of desk phones that are available in stock is at about 22. So based on this, I can be sure that the amount of or the number of desk phones that I have in stock is going to last another couple of months. Whereas when you look at workstations, my monthly consumption is at about 15 units, whereas the number of units in stock is about 5. So this tells me that I'm going to run out of workstations pretty quickly, and I need to order a few workstations in order to meet the demand. So this is an easy way and a very decisive report that will help you in pre-ordering assets in your organization. So those were a couple of examples of how analytics can help you in decision making, or I should say informed decision making. So these are the things that we looked at. We looked at how role-based dashboards cater to the different audience in your organization based on, or by showing them metrics that they would be interested in. It also helps you by showing metrics that can help you see things that usually go unnoticed. An example of that is our history reports. And finally, we looked at how calculated metrics such as technician load factor and monthly consumption can help you in making informed decisions. So that brings us to the end of this session. Let's see if we can we have a few questions which we can, or which I can answer. Right, so we have a user or an attendee who asked us or told us that they don't see the asset management reports in the advanced analytics and how they and what they should do in order to get it. So we only recently released the asset analytics. So if you're on an older version of Analytics Plus or an older version of Service Desk Plus, you need to upgrade both these applications. And as soon as you do the upgrade, you will be able to see all the reports and dashboards appear automatically. And for those of you who have not set up the integration, you just need to go to your admin panel, look for Advanced Analytics, and set up Advanced Analytics. And once you do so, integrate Service Desk Plus and the Advanced Analytics solution, and all these reports will be available in a matter of few minutes. Right, so the next question is Advanced Analytics a separate application? Yes, it is. You'll have to set up Manage Analytics Plus, which is available as a separate download and a separate application. You can install it on one of your servers in your network, or you can install it on the same server on which Service Desk Plus is running, provided that server has sufficient resources to support both these applications. And if you're interested in setting up the analytics on cloud, you just need to sign up for a Zoho Analytics account and key in your Zoho Analytics details in the Advanced Analytics setup screen so that these reports and dashboards are available to you right away. And the final question that I have here is, can I see a report that shows the time spent by technicians across different modules such as tasks, requests, and projects? Yes, you can. Advanced Analytics has the information on time spent. It's all you need to do is just include the time spent fields, and the report will show you the amount of time spent by technicians across the different modules. Unfortunately, I don't have that report pre-built at the moment, but that is something that you can definitely set up. Right, and one more question. We have a question that how can you install ZIA? So if you're on the latest version of Analytics Plus, which is version 4280, you should see an option Ask ZIA on the left-hand side panel of your application. Just click on the Ask ZIA option, and you should be taken to a screen where you can enable the Ask ZIA functionality, and it will be available for use as soon as you restart your application once. If you're using a cloud version, or that is, if you're using Advanced Analytics on Zoho Analytics, Ask ZIA should be enabled for you already. Just look for the Ask ZIA option on the left panel of your Zoho Analytics application. Right, so those are the questions that we have for today. Before I sign off, I would want to invite you guys, especially the attendees who are in England and Ireland, for our IT management seminar, which is happening on the 24th of September in London, and again on the 26th of September in Manchester. So if you're interested in signing up for this free IT management seminar, you can just go to manageengine.com/events, and you can see the link that will take you to the IT management seminar in September. And just key in your details here, and you will be registered, and you will get a registration email as soon as you complete the registration process. And this event is free of charge. You don't have to pay anything to attend this particular event. All right, so that brings us to the end of this webinar. If you have any questions, you can email masterclass@servicedeskplus.com. And if we have missed out any questions, I will reach out to you via email with an answer to those questions. All right, so thank you very much for joining this session. Hope it was helpful, and I hope to meet you again in another interesting session very soon. Thank you.